Hello everyone, it's David again. We are in Babylon 5, Season 5, Episode 2. I'm going to apologize a little bit for my look and kind of what's going on with me. On Sunday, I was having some pain in the neck, besides my cats, and I kept rubbing and I felt this big lump. I'm like, what the hell was that? Well, it was happenstance. Would have it Monday, I was scheduled for a physical and asked the doctor about it, and he says, "Oh, I think you've got a staph infection." Oh, great. So he's got me on antibiotics. It's kind of getting a little bit worse, which is not uncommon. It takes about 3 days for oral antibiotics to work. So, for the next few days, I'm going to look pretty rough and ready, as it were. At any rate, Babylon 5, Season 5, Episode 2, The Very Long Night of Londo Mollari. I'm going to apologize beforehand, having been a nurse for many years, and this episode deals a lot with heart attacks and stuff. I was right down my specialty area, so I'm going to be kind of nitpicky a little bit. So, Delenn finds out Lennier wants to be replaced. He's doing what we call in the rehab community a geographical. Okay, if you have problems in your life, some people will literally pick up everything and move to somewhere they've never been before or something of that nature. Okay, my ex Kevin was, oh my God, that poor man could not sit still for more than 6 months. He was packing up and moving. This time he went from Portland to Boston. I'm talking about Portland, Oregon to Boston. Had never been to Boston before. Well, he probably had been to Boston, but at any rate, had nobody in Boston. All of his family, including his daughters, in California. Just really, dude, come on. At any rate, Lennier wants to do a geographical. He wants to join the Rangers. Zach wants to impound Londo's brewery for health inspection. Londo takes a sip of said brewery and collapses on the floor. And of course, Zach calls for a medical team stat. We cue the entrance. Delenn confronts Lennier, and he says, I'm paraphrasing parts of this. "I feel you don't need me now. I am not comfortable anymore." And he's talking about her relationship with Sheridan. And Sheridan later remarks, "I was kind of afraid of that." So he's been picking up that, someone's interested in his wife. Ooh, talk about awkward. At any rate, he wants to join the Rangers. Is that kind of like the French Foreign Legion? I've heard a lot of people join the Foreign Legion, out of sometimes criminality, sometimes they have a spouse or significant other that they just want to get the hell away from, and so they would just wind up in France and let's join the Legion. Michael Garibaldi tells Veer that Londo had a heart attack on his left heart. He needs an artificial heart in 3 days from the Centauri Republic, but he could be dead in 24 hours. Now, Londo's what we call a type A stress personality. He takes things, he internalizes them, and he just sits on them and sits on them and sits on them until he blows up in a rage. And I had a patient, or a guy, actually, not a patient, actually, a patient I heard screaming. I run into her room. She grabs my hand. "I think my grandson is dead." And I looked over, and her grandson is what we call agonal, which means he's not breathing. He has no pulse. So I said, "Lady, you stay right here. I'm going to go get a doctor." So I come running out. Call, it was back then code 99. It's now code blue. My boss is looking at me like, "David, this lady's 92. She's not a, full code." And I said, "It's not for her. It's for her grandson. He's in a chair, completely non-responsive." And so everyone runs, into the room. We try, and what happened, we found out, was many months earlier, he had had a 3-vessel bypass grafting on his heart. and he had gotten in a severe argument with his buddy, and he's waiting for his buddy to show up. He was going to show him, and just internalizing the rage till his heart gave out. He was 38 years old. Okay, so if you have a type A stress personality, number one, watch your blood pressure. Number two, work on things like meditation and other things like that, so that you're not internalizing everything, because your heart will make you pay for it. And it doesn't matter how old or how young you are. It can be vicious, and it will come right out of the blue, and you won't know it hit you. At any rate, Sheridan, medical science can only go so far, then it's up to the patient. Bravo, JMS. That was one of the best, as a nurse, one of the best things I've ever heard come out of Babylon 5. Then it's up to the patient. Okay? Londo's in a coma dreaming now. Veer and Lennier meet in the bar to commiserate for their last time. Lennier is going to be a full-on ambassador. Lennier is going to go join the Rangers, and so they have their final little commiseration session. Londo tells Sheridan in a dream that he was dead to his first wife, the only one that he loved. And basically, I guess it was a dancer. We all knew that. And that... And this is confusing because it's conflicting information, because he tells Michael Garibaldi that she was ugly, and that he would have rather bit his arm off than, and her voice could shatter entire planets. But now he's saying that he was forced to divorce her and that she was the only one he truly loved. So is that a writer's thing? Am I misinterpreting something? Comment down below if you know what's going on in there. But he said first one, it was a dancer. He was forced to divorce her and then marry Timoff, I'm going to assume. Sheridan, I just noticed now in this, he's wearing the Ranger 1 uniform. So is he kind of taking the place of Sinclair, since they couldn't maybe get a hold of him, or Sinclair may have had a relapse of his mental illness issues? So watch that scene again and see if you notice the same thing I do. You can hear Veer on the outside and inside Londo's dreams. You can hear him saying, please don't die, please don't die. I can tell you, having been a nurse, yes, people can absolutely hear you when they're in a coma. Okay, or if you're doing chest compressions, cardiac arrest, the doctors and nurses were all running around trying to get the heart restarted. I've had plenty of people come out of a coma and say, one lady said, asked me about my cat and my mother. And she'd never met me before, but she knew my cat's name and she knew my mother's name because I had been talking about my pets, my animals, my family. She said, I really like you, but, and this is very common, I don't want this person ever again to come into my room. Okay? Usually talking about another nurse, because some nurses get sloppy and they just say whatever comes out of their mouths, and the patients absolutely can hear you, okay? And that's for family members too. If you go to visit grandma in the hospital, okay, be very nice and kind to her, because I've had it happen before where grandma comes out of her coma and all of a sudden she rewrites her will because someone ran their mouth off while she was there in a coma about, ooh, goody, now grandma's dead, I can get all the money and kick the rest of you out of her house, I'm going to take over everything. And they come in and all of a sudden now they're written out of grandma's will. Your heart can no longer bear the weight of your conscience, is what Veer tells Londo. Yep. Dr. Franklin, as Londo goes into cardiac arrest, I need a trauma team in med lab, stat. No, that's the wrong word. You don't need a trauma team. You need a cardiac team. At any rate, nursing just stepped right in there. Jakar enters MedLab 1, and Jakar enters the dream, and he says that you said nothing. While all my people were being murdered by the bushel, you said nothing. And I noticed they're doing their cardio version with the little shocker things that you see in the movie. Very rarely do we actually have to use those. It's mostly just chest compressions, which I'm surprised they didn't do, but maybe there's something, about Centauri physiology that I'm not aware of, but at any rate, this is the main problem in Londo's life up to this point, is he let things happen without saying anything. Okay? Londo starts to say, I'm sorry, to Jakar in the dream, and he wakes up and says, I'm sorry to Jakar in real life, and Jakar turns around and walks off in tears, either tears of sadness or tears of happiness, that now Londo finally gets it up here. Because you always wonder before, does Londo truly understand the damage he's done? And now Jakar says, maybe there's hope for him yet. At any rate, hope to be able to record tomorrow and everything. It's pretty late at nighttime. Just wiped out from all the antibiotics and everything. But at any rate, like, comment, subscribe, and share. And I will see you on next episode, The Paragon of Animals.